Good evening. My name is Terrence Hoy. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We are the Board of Fire Commissioners, Newcastle Fire District Number 1. Tonight, Thursday, July 8th, 2021, we're back at headquarters in the Commissioner's office at 491 King Street, and we're fairly happy to be back. Having said that, Pledge of Allegiance. I'll lead everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could just take a moment to remember what's going on down in Florida right now, Miami. First responders from all over the world and all over the country are involved in a fairly significant recovery operation. And let's keep in mind those members of the fire department here in Chappaqua and the district who have passed. Thank you. So we're all in attendance. All 5 commissioners are here. And we're going to give a courtesy tonight to a resident who showed up. But just a brief statement about public comment. Typically, we have public comment at the end of our meeting. This way the fire commissioners can focus on the business of the district. However, since this is our first meeting, you just walked in, we would like you to go ahead and you can address the board. Keep it short, sweet, to the point. We're not here to answer your questions. We're here to consider your comments, and we will. Having said that, please just state your name and where. Don't tell me your address. Generally, where in the district you live.
My name is Mikal Seligman, and I live very, very close to the fire station. I wanted to ask my husband and I and other neighbors if there is a way to put on the agenda of one of the next meetings how to deal with the siren, or the current siren of the fire station, which has been extremely disruptive to our lives for quite a long time, especially since it became louder and louder in the last, I think, couple of years. And now that we've been working at home for about a year and a half, it's been even more disruptive. And also, we know that there are other other neighbors, such as a daycare center, restaurants. It's been disruptive for everyone. So the question is how to put it on the agenda of one of the meetings to find out other solutions to call in times of emergencies other than the siren. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I will take the time just to address it a little bit. It's constantly on our agenda because residents of the district keep contacting us about it. And I think that we have adequately addressed it in the past. However, every time a resident comes forth, we want to hear what you say. We will consider it, and if there is any change, the residents will be the first ones to know about it. However, at this time, it is a position of the chief of the department right now that it is a vital piece of equipment for the department. But thank you for your comments tonight, and the board will consider your comments. Yes, sir.
Is it possible to know more about it? I mean, I know you can't answer these questions now, but it's going off sometimes 3 and 4 times a day, and it would be helpful if it really is vital. It would be helpful to know the statistics, what's happening when the siren goes off, if it turns out that people are really being helped and it's indispensable. Obviously, you know, we're incredibly grateful for a volunteer fire department, and we have no interest in appearing otherwise. But I think it would be nice to know when it goes off. It went off 3 times in an hour yesterday. It's interesting to what's being responded to. You know, like if we were better informed, I think we'd be better understand. And I assume statistics are kept. I'm sure logs are kept for all of that.
Please, any commissioner would like to opine on that?
Yeah, we do maintain logs about every call that goes out. We have a computerized system. We do have that. Multiple calls within a limited period of time could mean several things. It could mean multiple calls, or it could mean that there's a work and structure fire or something like, Chief Hyman, you'll correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong. There's a work and structure fire and we don't have sufficient manpower, and so that will tone that out again, which can happen in rapid succession. With respect to any specific incident, I can't answer the question. But, you know, those records are maintained. I don't know if they're foilable, do you know?
I'm not really too sure. I don't know if the disposition of the calls are foilable, but I mean, obviously, the number of calls a year. And I do believe also, too, that we did try to accommodate the community as well from, I believe it's 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. when we respond in the middle of the night. We don't set the horns off. But, you know, the other times during the day, they are a very valuable resource for us. Anyone who drives through town and has AT&T or Verizon cell service knows all the dead spots we may or may not get service. So texting does not always work when we get the texting coming in from the county. The county's been having some radio issues themselves lately. So particularly the horn is very important to us because it gives us, oh, wait a sec, I didn't get a text message, but I hear the horn. There's a call we need to attend to. For people who are on the streets of town also, we've also been told by the school bus drivers, particularly during school season, that they hear the horn. They're on more of an alert to watch for a fire chief, piece of fire apparatus coming some direction because they can yield or make sure they're not letting children off the bus or whatever the case might be. So that's really where it becomes an important backup to our current alert system, you know, when we are paged out for an event. And as Commissioner Weddle said, multiple times in the course of a short period of time, could be multiple alarms. Yesterday in particular, we had 3 alarms within the space of, I think, 90 minutes. And to Commissioner's point, when one of us chiefs arrive on scene and we do notice that it is a fire or an emergency where we know we're going to need, we immediately ask the county to tone us out a second time. This way, it's upgrading the alarm from what could be somebody's burnt toast to a kitchen fire or something as that, so it draws more resources as well.
Thank you.
And also, the decibels on the siren have not gone up. But I suspect that if you're home more often and you hear it more often, it will start to sound louder. But it's the same. Do we still do the 12 o'clock flow?
No.
No. I mean, it used to go off every 12
Yeah.
hours just as a test, and we don't do that anymore. So I mean, I think the department has tried very hard to to be considerate of our neighbors, consistent with the need to provide fire protection.
Right. It would be nice to have also to check the decibels on it. A neighbor of ours have the equipment. I didn't try it yet, but the decibels are, I think, out of what it should be in a range of people hearing it in that way. But it's something that I guess you can all check
Well,
and find out.
if your neighbors can check the decibels, I'd be very interested in
Yes.
hearing that number,
Yes.
because we do have the siren is serviced every few years. We put people up there on top of the post, and if we're beyond what we should be, then I'd like to hear about that.
Thank you.
But you also have to take consideration that we have to hear the horn all the way up by the crossing, and even past that. And way out by Roaringbrook School, I mean, there's a distance that you can hear the horn, and that's why it's where it's at. I mean, if you lower it, then you limit the volume to where we can hear it.
So thank you for, we gave you plenty of time on this,
Thank you
by
very
the way.
much. You're very
And this is a very important issue. It's a safety issue, it's an operational issue, it's a technical issue, it's a resident and neighbors issue. So thank you for coming in. The board will consider this.
Thank you.
And we will likely be talking about this again. Thank you for coming in.
Can we get on the agenda to talk about it in the future? How would we proceed?
Well, we set the agenda,
Okay.
and however, the agenda certainly can be influenced
Great.
by residents with concerns.
Okay.
And I would say it is on the agenda because we are fielding many concerns, questions regarding it. So it's a high priority for us right now, including the department, because they rely on that. It's a major safety issue for them and an operational imperative.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Chief, for that.
Oh, there's a jacket there.
Oh,
Oh,
jacket.
thank you.
Chief's report, you're up.
All right, Chief Malin sends his regrets, but he's teaching as you know. He did send the report to you via email, so I'll just hit some of the highlights. Utility vehicle, he did send a separate letter with his recommendations on how to deal with the new utility. Spirit of full disclosure, I completely agree with his assessment and plan. He's also requesting 3 battery backups to be replaced. They'll need permission in order to purchase them. I believe they're about $50 each, but I believe he's got to get them from a specialty vendor because they are for backing up the computers in the server rooms in the chief's office, as well as the computer that's under his desk.
Yeah,
He needs permission from whom?
Now, he can go, I would see it as a routine thing.
That's
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
I will relay it to
support
him.
it.
Yeah, tell him to make that happen. Thank you.
Nothing on old business, no, nothing on membership. The expenses, they're delineated in the note, but for a total of $636.72 for the month. For the month of June, pardon the typo in the minute, these 39 calls, you can see the attached schedule. For upcoming dates, we've got the Mount Kisco Parade tomorrow night. It's going to be the only parade we're marching in this year, so it's usually a pretty big deal, so please feel free. It steps off at 7 o'clock, going around from behind the hospital out to Main Street, down around past Firehouse and back north on Mosier Avenue until we disband right by their fire headquarters.
Regular route.
Yeah. I was just proud of myself, I remember the street names.
Can you send us some information on that?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a motion that we reimburse the chief for his expenses.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye.
I would also make a motion that we adopt his chief's suggestion to the extent we can sell the utility that was delivered to us at the price we paid for it. And then we're kind of repurchasing a piece of apparatus that duplicates the existing utility. That's what the chief wants.
Yes.
Can I make a recommendation on that? Can we hold off until Dwight reports on that? But that's
That's fine.
it's kind of reasonable, and I think we may find in favor of that anyway.
Sure.
So we had a motion to approve the expenses. Did that also include the report?
I have nothing further.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a chief's report, so.
please brief out on the medical, so I don't have to.
So we had a handful of members that still needed, primarily the students who were home from college. A number of them went last night to a location that Interstate was hosting in Stanford. And the other remaining handful, 2 or 3, I believe, tops, have been told they need to have their physical by the end of July, which is when Interstate will be back in the area.
Thank you, Chief.
Can you just remind me, Russell, I'm looking for contact information on Howard Fields. His LoSAP is due, and I can't find him.
Who?
Howard Fields. He hasn't been a member in years.
Ron Fields.
Maybe it's Ron Fields.
Ron. I think it's in there. I'll look.
And Joe Cipriani as well.
Why, I think that's in there too. Really?
Treasurer's report.
Yes, hi. I gave you my check register. We wrote $81,746.40 worth of invoices we paid this month. It's attached for your review. I received the 2% from New York State on July 2nd, and that would be given to the 3 companies based on the percentage with their memberships. So I will present those 3 checks in the next check run.
Is there any ceremony with that, or no? They just,
We did recalculate the percentages earlier this year, so I would suggest just double check with Tony that he
Tony
knows the
just
current
texted
ones.
them to me,
Perfect.
so I'm good up on it. It was about $100 more than last year, but it's around $62,000. The auditors could not present today. They could not be here live. They're in Hamilton, New York. So they will be here for the August meeting to
And can you just review, apparently?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, so I did ask him, he gave us a preliminary draft financial, and, you know, I mentioned to him, are there any items that are open, are there any items you want to discuss that you didn't, see that were done properly, and pretty much it's a clean report all around.
So there were 0 discrepancies essentially and 0 recommendations?
The only recommendation he would make, I think he'll tell you, is he would like to have a live audit. It's very difficult to get the LoSAP reports and the information that you need from various people to complete an audit. And
In
that's
other
why
words,
we're
to
really-
have an audit maybe last 2 days here,
Yeah.
1 or 2 days here where we bring everything down and they can go through all of the documents and go through their check sheets.
Yes.
I would agree with that. I mean,
Well, that's what
It's
they
one-
did before COVID.
It's
Yeah.
one day, but
Right.
it's just that the LoSAP report took a long time to get there.
Sure.
That was the most of comment that he made to me.
Do we know when we're gonna get a report from that?
The draft was emailed to you.
Okay. I'll look at
And
that.
as soon as this form, which both Terry and I signed, goes back to him, he can give us.
Just, I'm not gonna be here on August 12th, so I wanna be able to
Oh,
circulate
okay.
questions.
Okay. And that's all I have.
thank you. The district secretary submitted her resignation effective July 4th, 2021. On behalf of the board, we want to thank Sandra Stein for her hard work through her tenure. Now, just one thing, she was working all the way up to late this afternoon, so we need to ensure that Sandra's paid pro rata share, not based on the date of resignation. I think that's fair.
I make that motion.
I agree.
So we have a motion on, do we have a second on that?
Second.
Let me just write this down.
Based on draft to today.
Correct. All in favor? Aye. Thank you for that. Having said that, I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Robin as temporary secretary until we can hire somebody.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just give me a moment.
And on that, I would suggest we get to work ASAP.
Yes. The second on that was Ed. Thank you, Ed. Having said that, I'm just going to assist right now. We don't have a detailed secretary report other than what has already been submitted for its pending approval. So we have in front of us, we have the regular minutes from June 10th, and we also have the executive session minutes from June 10th. Everyone should have reviewed them by now, and if I am not mistaken, the treasurer did submit a report in June, and it's within these minutes. So I'll entertain a motion. Actually, I believe that's 2 separate motions or 1 motion for the 2 sets of minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Ed, second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. And then the
Make
executive...
the motion, we accept the executive session minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
Ed, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We'll go into committee reports now. I have nothing to report other than what the chief briefed out. Be making some minor purchases, regular duty items for the fire department, and the chief was good enough to brief out on medicals. So I have nothing further. Commissioner Frank, you're up.
Okay, so Manny tells me that he has the server equipment. He's ready to install it next week. He just, wants to be sure that we have the AC in that room. Unless you think leaving this door open is good?
I think we need that door open. This is pretty, I came in here this afternoon and
Yeah.
I was looking for the thing to turn it down, but I didn't touch it. But
Okay.
I think it'd be fine until I get the air conditioner in there.
And
Who else is?
Robin, I think you said you would let
Hmm?
Manny in, or?
No, I said yes, yes,
Oh,
I did.
oh, okay, good.
The only ones that have a key to that door is the presidents of the company. And they don't really meet down here anymore, do they?
Well, everything's been
I
Zoom.
mean, nobody's really been,
No, to the extent there's confidential information regarding membership in that office.
well, we can lock the cabinets.
Who has the key to the cabinets?
Yeah, I think it's in the box. It's been a long time.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's not how the lock guy come up with new ones in it.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so Oak Lane, that's still a work in progress. And our neighbor, Mr. Carlock, I met with him, happens to be, in my opinion, a very nice guy, very understanding. He understands that we cannot solve his problem because we can't use district money to take care of him. But if the addition consolidation takes place, then he's taken care of. So he's happy with that. He has no problem with moving his garage over somewhat because he's on our property a very small amount. So he's good with that also. So the conversation with him, I think, went well.
Sounds good.
And
What
that's,
what about the manhole?
yeah, well, we know about that. Yeah, he's not hiding it. We all know about
Yeah.
that, but, you know, hopefully, that'll be taken care of when we get the approval for the bond to do the addition.
He does understand that what he's doing is illegal.
He
And it
knows.
is on our property.
Exactly. I know he knows that, yeah.
Right.
But, I
And
mean,
if I know the Board of Health, they're not gonna care about him. They're gonna come to us.
yeah. Well.
So I think there's gotta be something done with that.
So I don't know, how do we tell, you know, did somebody complain to the town? 'Cause it's
The
a
town was here. The town did see it.
And what'd they say?
They told me he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do, but he still does
He
it.
still does it.
So, I mean, you know.
I mean, he's cleared out a lot back there now, so anybody could really see it.
So, and if I could just jump in, and this is why we asked Ed to talk to our neighbor, because he is our neighbor. And so, and we have to maintain cordial relationships with our neighbors. And I think that perhaps, since you did have a conversation with him, things might get better. And if we have to remind him that one shouldn't be discharging something into a regulated drain, then maybe we'll have to do that. But I think we're moving forward as neighbors right now, and we should continue to do so.
I'm just pointing it out. That's
No,
all.
it should be brought to his attention, absolutely, I don't disagree, but I think we should just,
I discussed it with
Yeah.
him. I mean, I definitely, me personally, I can't be the one to call up the town and say, he's doing this. I can't do that. But, you know, I understand his situation, but,
anything further, Ed?
no.
Chris?
What was his situation when the vet owned 495 King Street? Do we know?
Yeah, I think it's been open since then. Hasn't it? It has been.
Yeah,
I have a picture from a long time ago. Yeah.
So the vet was willing to assume that risk, or we?
that's why I'm bringing it up. I mean, we're the ones at risk.
Yeah,
The manhole is on our property, so we're at risk. Even though he's the one putting the hose in there. He'll get nailed too, but we're basically allowing it.
I guess the only thing that could be done is to somehow, if it could be locked, I don't know if that's
Who has
possible to lock a manhole.
since it's been brought up, who has jurisdiction over that regulated drain?
Westchester County.
Okay, so having said that, if the board wishes to, then perhaps we go back to the neighbor and speak to him one more time, or, like you just indicated, Chris, dispense with the risk and contact Westchester.
Or just weld it shut. They do that in Times Square every New Year's
Well,
Eve.
Westchester would have to weld it shut, not us.
Maybe it's a topic for a different time.
I would agree.
Problem here.
Commissioner Murphy, House.
Okay, I'd like to thank the chiefs and the officers, and man, that being the firehouse and Center Street, which was a little shocking, but it's nice, everything came out good. Johnson Control was here today. They replaced the sensor in the basement. Besides it going off all the time, when he took it all apart, it was all corroded inside,
Is
so.
that the water bug?
Hmm?
The water bug?
Yeah, they replaced that. So with that and the basement being done, we're finally done with the basement. Upstairs in the big room, nobody knows how, but a drape came down. I called the Aries, Town and Country. He came up, he looked, and he said, you're gonna have to get the wall fixed. So I called Wayne Fazinga to come down and look at it.
He's the roofer.
All right. Yeah, he does a work too for us. Oh, that, and I'm gonna have him look at the front stairwell here. I think it's 2 spots where it's peeling. It's not the paint that's peeling, it's actually the wall that's peeling in 2 spots. I was gonna have him look at that too. All right, and the new tables and chairs, they're to stay upstairs, not come down. The tables to be used here on this floor are downstairs. Now, if you need folding chairs, in the coat closet upstairs, there's blue folding chairs. You can bring them down and use them to you like it. But I definitely like to get the new chairs and table back upstairs, please.
But they just came down for Dougie's Memorial, right?
No, we've started to try to keep the doors of the firehouse open to invite the community to pop in.
Mhm.
Sunday mornings, we've got coffee and bagels. And we just had taken a table from upstairs and some of the folding chairs for people just be sitting on the apron really and just waiting if people go by and people
I
stop
think that's a
in.
great idea.
You know, so that's what we're using.
And they got the tables and chairs, and that's what it was said. When I brought the furniture, I said, second floor only, not to come down here.
But if there's a shortage of tables and
There
people
isn't a
are
shortage
stuck-
of tables.
But don't yell at me.
I'm not yelling, it's what I'm trying to explain to you. There's no shortage of tables. They got about 10 tables downstairs,
Okay.
right? In the closet, there's about maybe 2 dozen chairs, or maybe a little less, but there's new chairs upstairs.
I'm just
They can bring them
I'm
down and
just
use
saying
them, all right?
Bigger
I'm just-
picture, that's
May
all
may
I'm
I
saying.
suggest
Just
something?
saying that's.
So moving forward, if the fire department members are conducting an operation, an exercise, or community outreach, just get in touch with Commissioner Murphy and get permission to bring them down, use them, and then we'll restow them. Is that fair enough? I mean,
I'll tell you, what, if that's what you want to
Well,
do.
no, I'm just
No, if that's
suggesting.
what you want to do, as a board, let them use the stuff, bring it up and down the stairs, fine. When the stuff is damaged or broken, I don't want to hear about it, because I don't know who broke it or who damaged it, because nobody will tell you anything in this place. So that's why the chairs stay upstairs, and the tables stay upstairs. And they use the stuff from downstairs. Right? There's 2 tables that I brought just for physicals. Because the weight limit on them is 350 pounds. I brought them for us big guys. So be sure the table, because the table has given out up there. All right, so I got 2 tables that I know will hold people. They were supposed to be used and put back in the boxes, and they weren't. They're still sitting out. 1 table just got thrown back in the room. So they use things that should be put back where they belong.
I don't disagree.
Okay, and it doesn't. They use it and they leave it wherever they want.
So,
I'll address it with the chief.
yeah, and moving forward, we'll figure out a better way forward, or a way where we can, the board and the membership will be satisfied. That would be my suggestion.
It sounds to me like the membership is trying to help the board and taking time out of their Sundays to do community outreach for the board.
I think community outreach right now is probably one of the biggest things that we can do, along with firefighting operations.
There's a little something.
So,
If you can fit it in.
yeah,
So I will address it with the chief.
thanks, Chief.
I already told them.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna get prices to seal this lot
Mhm.
and Elm Street lot. All right, and striped.
Stripes, right?
Now, the cars. A while back, we had 8 cars over there, no plates on them, and we started getting complaints.
From whom?
There's too many cars over there with no plates on
From whom?
them. Our neighbors.
So car,
The people.
okay, for the
Okay,
public, the
because
public.
the law in town, you can't stockpile cars in your yard with no plates on them.
So Brian, are you talking about our property across the street?
Property across the street.
Yeah, for the public who are watching this, so we're talking about cars across the street in our parking lot. Who owns these cars?
They were
donated
donated
to
to
the
the fire
Oh,
Training.
department.
gotcha, training
Certification.
devices,
Yeah.
future training devices, gotcha.
Right? But you have one over there that was in a car accident
Yes, yeah.
and has metal sticking out of it and everything else. That's a hazard.
To whom?
You don't know who cuts across in that parking lot.
I know we got big no trespassing government property signs.
Could be an
over there.
attractive nuisance, it's a good point, I wouldn't
There's
disagree.
people play in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
Kids
but
walk across, play
that's
ball.
a danger. It's a hazard, and it shouldn't be left in the parking lot like that. It shouldn't even been put in the parking lot like that. It
What-
should have went to the
what do you
junkyard.
propose?
Okay, but when they cut up a car, oh, we can use that again, and they'll leave it, and there'll be stuff sticking out of it.
Right.
It's a danger. They cut up the car should be gone.
I wouldn't disagree, what do you
And
propose?
one time, there was only supposed to be 2 cars over there at a time with no plates.
Chief?
Well, we've got people who come, they donate a vehicle to us for us to use for training. And we can do extrication, we can do a car fire simulation, we can do airbag deployment. And yeah, there are points in time where we'll use the car multiple times to get the most out of it, because yes, we happen to have a glut of cars that have been donated, but we also go the other end of the spectrum where it's a very difficult time to get them. We traditionally have tried to keep 2 for open house because we do that as a demonstration to the public. Obviously, we did not have open house with COVID. Our plans are to do it again, this year, so we would use cars for that, and all of a sudden September comes and we're trying to plan for October open house and we don't have vehicles. And when they're being donated, we don't have to go out to purchase them or make arrangements with a hauler to bring us, something here. Primarily comes through Owen, somebody's looking to get rid of their car. We give them a receipt for their Blue Book value of it, and, they sign over the title. So, I mean, we just have not we've had more training opportunities to go to the training center, which is much harder for us to book now that they opened it back up. So we've shifted our training to focus on the harder to go areas. For us, it's much easier, obviously, to throw a drill together at the last minute on a Sunday morning to go across the street and, cut up a car. And, that's kind of the history with, the vehicles that are there.
Okay, so with respect to vehicles, they may have little bits of metal sticking out of them, or...
Well, there is one car that was actually family member had a car accident with, and cars that are damaged like that do provide us with a unique opportunity because it's a damaged vehicle. It's realistic to what we may come across on the parkway as opposed to a pristine Volvo that just the motor blew.
Right.
So it does give us an opportunity to train a little bit differently, with that type of a scenario.
So Brown, what do you propose?
Whatever you just want to do. Okay, I gave you my report. Right?
You know,
There should only be 2 cars over there. There should be no cars left over there that have been in an accident or cut up. It's a hazard. And don't say who's cut. People walk through it and they play over there. I can't keep an eye on it. I'm not going to sit up here for 24 hours a day. And the cars have been there for more than 6 months.
but the chief just said that...
And I'm telling you, they've been there for more than 6 months.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The chief just said that sometimes cars in these conditions provide a unique training opportunity.
But whatever, I give up. Okay,
I'm just talking.
and I'm just finished. I'm done discussing it. Okay, I gave you my report. I've discussed this several times before. I'm not discussing it anymore. It's a done deal.
I hadn't heard it before, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
With the air conditioning. On the air conditioner upstairs, this one is fixed outside. The one upstairs is going to come into this window. All right, and that'll take care of that one. The ice machine in I call it the crystal closet. This drop tray where the ice slides down is broken. they're coming, and they're gonna fix that, and they're gonna check the one upstairs. Gonna service both of them. All right? And that's it.
Thanks, Brian. Commissioner Smith?
Good evening. Tower Ladder 27 is scheduled for its annual PM service on the 12th. There's an infrequent problem with it, some emergency lights, and the radios have an issue, so we're going to have that addressed during the PM at the same time. Engine 144 and then engine 146 will follow as the chief is allowing them to leave the district. The Rescue 23 is likely to be serviced the following week. It's got a check engine light, and a couple of the drivers have commented that the seat feels loose. A couple of the drivers don't see that, but we want to get the manufacturer's rep to take a look at it. So that's going to happen. Utility 155 had a bad tire 3 weeks ago at the bad fire, about 3 weeks ago. The sidewall was cut, and that tire has been replaced, and everything's fine with that. The new Chevy utility vehicle is in. I think I mentioned this last month, possibly. My very detailed, not shouldn't say, my long report is here. It came in subpar, in my opinion. There's a lot of issues with it. The former Commissioner Oliveri is in contact with the dealership, and the dealership has said they're going to come up and have it taken away to get it refurbished, cleaned. As an example, there's drill debris when pieces were added to the body. That drill debris was left in the compartments, and somehow or other they got wet. Now the drill debris, being iron, has rusted and has left a stain in the compartments. It's in really bad shape, and that's just one of many issues. So we can talk about this further. It's probably a good time to talk about it. The chief staff is not in favor of the size of the cab right now. That's one of the big issues. The cab, there's a choice in Chevrolet of having a two-door, a four-door, or a stretched four-door. I don't know the names. Every company has their own version of the name. But the stretched four-door is what we have in the previous existing utility 155. That's what we were hoping to get in the new vehicle. And we didn't seem to get that. So the leg space in the back seat is very tight. And when a firefighter, a big guy with gear on, tries to get in there, it's tight. So there's a lot of stain from rust and maybe oil stains as well. And so I think, referring to the chief's letter, there's options for us. We can keep it. We have not paid for it. But if we pay for it and keep it, the membership is going to be dissatisfied, I think, and it's going to be less than functional to their needs. So that's bottom line of what we have to worry for.
Can I just jump in for a second here? So myself and Dwight inspected the truck, I believe it was last Sunday, and just before you went to Mount Kisco for the fireworks. And I would wholeheartedly agree. The craftsmanship in some areas, not acceptable. It doesn't seem as though the vehicle was even prepared for delivery, clean, in pristine condition. I'd also agree that perhaps in specifying or the vehicle that it just doesn't meet the operational requirements of the fire department. As we were inspecting the vehicle, the chief rolled up, Chief Maitland, and he came up with a fairly decent idea, and that was to contact a specialist who works with these vehicles and to see if we're able to sell that vehicle and get the entire value back, so then we can go out, establish a committee within the fire department to essentially design exactly what they need. Yes.
If we haven't paid for it, why do we have to sell it? Can't we just send it back?
I don't know if it's that easy. I don't know if we're there yet.
We had a lot of...
Have we striped it?
No, we haven't striped it.
Nothing to it.
We have-
It's energy.
I just don't know.
We optioned it out with certain things, like the Reading cargo body. The Reading cargo body that we have on that vehicle in there that we currently use has a pass-through compartment. This one didn't. Now, theoretically, the new one was supposed to be a mirror image, nearly,
The 155.
of 145, but it didn't come in that way. So the lift gate on the back is slightly different, not too much. It's a steel one. The 155 is an aluminum one.
The craftsmanship on
Craftsmanship.
was horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
There's
on that,
safety
yeah.
catches on the back to hold the gate up in place when
Right.
you're driving down the road. The one on the driver's side works. The one on the left passenger side, the bar, it's made out of a steel bar, is bent out at 30 degrees. So it doesn't even engage with the pin to retain it in place. So it's a safety issue there.
So my question is, does it make more sense to try to sell it for what we, and then buy it?
The question is really, can we return it to the salesperson?
Exactly.
Or do we have to take ownership of it because there's been options added to it? And it's a used vehicle. I mean, they drove it across the road to get here.
Right.
The dealer has said to former Commissioner Oliveri that he will send somebody up, bring the vehicle back to their shop or wherever the integrator was that put all these pieces on the chassis, the rolling chassis, and fix it to our satisfaction.
But we can't.
But
because-
we can't,
Yeah.
because the body is undersized
cab.
It's too
for,
short.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the
That's something
extended
that's
cab,
fixed.
and that's important.
and even if we took that body and put the cargo body on another chassis, it's still a used chassis. So I think we're kind of stuck in a hard place.
So you could try to sell it at cost.
Well, yes, at cost, if we can do that. But I just want to make sure that's legally acceptable.
Well,
I think it
from
should be,
state
but
bid.
logistically, how do we do that?
There's a person in another department, Mount Kisco, that is working on selling our van. And his company, I think based out of Albany, has expressed interest in selling it for us.
yes.
So they will potentially give us the exact price that we paid, and they will turn around and sell it for whatever they can get for it.
Well, are they selling it on contingency, or are they purchasing it from us and then selling?
We haven't gotten to that point. I had a
That feels like the
verbal-
point we should get to.
Well, I haven't, he has expressed interest in selling it for us, and he called me today, texted me as well, and I think even the chief has submitted a PDF possibly, I'm not sure, of a new chassis, rolling chassis, that's available for us now. Now, the existing one, the new one that we just bought, or about to buy, is a gas engine, gasoline engine. There is some controversy as to whether or not we want diesel or gas. The gasoline engine does not require a chemical called DEF. Diesel engines require this additive. It makes it cumbersome to have a diesel, but at the same time, it's more likely that we're going to be able to use that vehicle for many years going forward. Diesels are very reliable.
We have
engines.
diesel down at the town.
We
so-
do, we have both. Cheap cars use fuel, gasoline use fuel.
Let me just read this for the record. This will actually help out. So this is from Chief's letter with respect to this vehicle. And then again, thank you, Chief, for bringing this to our attention, or coming up with this suggestion to the board. I have been approached by Signal 5 Fire Apparatus where the vendor believes that he can sell the vehicle, our vehicle, we purchase as is and recoup the district's total expense. That's a key word, total expense.
Expense is the key word.
Thank you. No, you're right, total expense, two key words.
No, expects that he can.
Expects, thank you. Signal 5 has already identified and found the duplicate cab and chassis that the department requires. He goes on to talk about gas and diesel. The vehicle is currently at a certain Chevrolet dealer upstate New York. This is the chief's recommendation, and I agree with him 100%. My recommendation to the board is to allow Signal 5 Fire Apparatus to sell the vehicle we have now immediately and work with the Chevy dealer upstate to see how we can duplicate and provide the exact vehicle that the department needs.
You get it for the
And I
same
kind of
price.
paraphrase a little bit at the end. I didn't want to give out the name of the
You
detail.
gonna get it for the same price?
That's the problem.
Well,
That's
this is the thing.
issue.
Don't know.
We brought that off state bid. I mean, just to let you know. And that was through BOCES.
And we paid a deposit for the detailing last
Yes, we did.
Well,
last
that-
fiscal year.
But the
And we
detailing
signed.
hasn't been done, right?
Yeah.
No,
No, it
but
hasn't.
should we get our deposit
Well,
back?
it-
Well, we would likely need that detailing anyway.
But I don't know if the contract's valid at this point.
So the detailing includes what? Is that like cleaning the floor
No,
mats?
no,
or-
all the
The painting,
lines and
striping.
whistles
Striping.
and, yeah.
The finish.
Yeah, to finish the
To
paint.
put the lights and the radios on and so on?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like
Well-
18,000 maybe.
Wow, okay.
So can I just make a suggestion, because I did interrupt?
No,
We should contact our counsel on this issue, and in fact, we could do it together, you can do it alone, and explain the situation so he can weigh in on it. And because we did purchase it from state contract,
Yeah.
that's an issue and that's a consideration.
That's how we brought the other one.
Yes.
You leaving?
Just two
You're coming
quick
back.
things,
Don't wait.
if I may. The,
Pardon me? Yeah.
just the addition of depth is not a big deal. We do it regularly for SQ-23 because that's a newer diesel-motored vehicle. So that really shouldn't come into your decision process, obviously from an expenditure that's completely where it would line up with. And just to clarify one other point, the closeness of the rear seat is not just for, shall we say, firefighters of stature. Anyone who's in their turnout gear, which is how you're supposed to be responding to an incident, is now that much bigger, that much bulkier, and they cannot fit safely or comfortably in that with the leg room and getting seat belts on and all the required, aspects of it. It's an extended cab versus a crew cab, which is the full-sized cab on General Motors pickup vehicles.
So we're on your time, so
That's
continue.
That's really all I had. That was the big item. It was 4 inches long of stuff. The rescue vehicle and the utility and the power ladder and the engines. I was told at a call last night, one of two I think that I attended, that the paging encoder is not working. And I didn't know that until last night when somebody mentioned it. They said, oh, it's been out for some months. So I'm going to call Metrocom, the two-way radio shop, and have them take a look at it. I went under there to see if maybe something was unplugged, but if there's no display, so I
For
don't
the
know.
sake of the residents, what's the paging
Okay, I'm sorry,
encoder?
I'm sorry. The paging encoder allows us during a high-activity day, let's say a hurricane comes through and all the departments in the district or in the town or county are active. So county control can't page us out individually. So at some point it becomes necessary for us to page ourselves out. Somebody sitting in the radio room will encode our pagers through this encoder. There's a keyboard, a small little 9-digit keyboard, and we just put the right sequence of tones in and our pagers in the fire department will go off. So, long answer, short question.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Wettle, insurance, you're up.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Commissioner Hoy and Well, compliance policy review and town liaison. Two brief things. And I will talk about those things when we get to old business. Chris, anything else on policy review and town liaison?
Not for me.
Roger that. Thank you. Old business. Today, we are joined by Heather Feldman from Wise Oak Strategies, and she's here to give us an update. Heather, welcome.
Thank you. So since I spoke to you guys last, I've had several really good meetings with your officers, your chiefs of your department, and all we need to do is build our team, create our message. The need is obvious. They are operating by the skin of their teeth, and they need the addition. Consolidation is a benefit to the department and to the entire community. Basically, what we're going to do for you guys is give you a roadmap on how to educate your community about what the department does for it. A lot of people just don't know until they need them. They don't understand what goes into it. And once we can really put out a consistent message about what the emergency services do and what the benefits are to the community of a volunteer community emergency services, we'll be good to go.
Thank you. And thanks for all the hard work. I've heard great feedback from several individuals with respect to your deep dives, and we really appreciate it. Just speaking, just for a moment, in my opinion, with respect to your role and the reason why we brought a strategist on. This board really needed the help, the extra eyes, and we are grateful that you're here. We thank you for everything that you're doing for us, and we look forward to what we will be doing at our, I'll talk about it here in a moment, but we will be scheduling a work session that will be open to the public, where the board will be sitting down with you, and we'll be doing a deep dive into some critical issues with respect to engaging the community and the residents. Yes?
So just to say, as somebody who's come in as a new person who's objective, you guys have a ton of expertise here. You have decades and over hundreds and hundreds of years of experience at your disposal. So identifying what the resources you have at your fingertips. Another aspect of a volunteer corporation is that you guys all have professional experience, right? So do all of your members. There are members here who are willing to put in extra effort for no fee towards the project for the good of the community. People need to know this, okay?
Absolutely.
Once we reach out to the community, and they love the fire department anyway, and once they understand what the benefits are to them, you guys will be fine.
Thank you. Thanks for all the hard work.
Sure.
Anyone else for Heather?
Great photo in the newspaper.
Been through it. Been.
This is on the sale to the restaurateur. That was nice.
So again, we're consolidating our district into one headquarters. You guys need to do the same, because having two locations is not as effective in terms of service to the community. Right?
Thank you, Heather. So moving on, I need to keep the Northern Fire Protection Area on old business until such time as the board does a deep dive. I believe this board needs to make a decision whether we will be paying another jurisdiction to provide the service, or we're going to be taking it back. I think it's a difficult decision we're going to have to make in the future. As several commissioners have noted, it seems like we may very well be paying too much for that service up there.
We are.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. However, last year, as you remember, we chose to stick with it because we did not want to degrade service in any way. So I would like to put this, perhaps, we already had a work session regarding it, we discussed it, but we need to start making a decision. Not here tonight, but we need to do a deep dive on this issue and decide what we're going to do with the Northern Fire Protection Area.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can we ask the chiefs to weigh in on this? If
Absolutely.
there's going to be another session, they have to be party to it.
No, and they have.
Yes.
But yes, if we're going to have a work session on this issue, or if we're going to begin to discuss this and do another deep dive on it, we need the chiefs involved. Absolutely. New vehicle update.
Well, on
Yes.
that, I think we need to get started soon, because our budget's coming up,
Correct?
and we can't wait till October to decide, well, okay, we're not gonna do it.
And that's kind of what happened last year.
Right, and I mean, that's why, it's something we can't sit on. I mean, we gotta get to work on it.
Last year, the budget had already been passed. We had less than 30 days' notice, and my understanding is the chiefs couldn't come up with an attack plan in 3 weeks, which, of course not.
And that's what elevated the concern with the chief and some of the board members, that this may not be a good idea. And we kind of reversed it, and we went with the chief's recommendation, but it has been several months now, and I do believe that we need to make a decision on
And
this.
just because I don't know, do we have the statistics on the call runs for that area?
You'd have to get that from Kisco.
I think we did have it.
I think former Commissioner
Right now,
Nicholas
Mount
had-
Kisco.
Yeah, I know, it was something like, I don't know, $80,000 a call or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's a crazy number.
Yeah. It was,
No, there was a letter on that, right?
there was, yes. In fact,
I'm
former...
exaggerating.
No.
It wasn't 80,000 a call.
Former Commissioner and Chairman Nicolason did a great job packaging the issue of the Northern Fire Protection Area. There's no doubt about it. He was able to summarize the situation very well. So we need to revisit this. I'm going to keep it on old business until it's no longer business.
But I think Brian's right, I think sooner rather than.
This is,
I
this is July, so you got August, and then you
So-
start to work in September, so.
What's the board's pleasure on this?
I'm just going to jump in here real quick and say one thing. Would it be in the best interest for the chiefs to start working on something? Like, I think Chief Maitland was talking at one point about call response time or summarizing travel time to those houses that are now protected by Mount Kisco. Would it make sense for them, the chief staff, to start working on something in advance of our working session?
My guess I would ask working on what?
I don't
mean-
know. He had an idea of what needed to be done. That's why I think, if I'm not not mistaken here, he wanted to postpone it until he had a chance to
Yeah, I
review
thought that
it.
was all presented. I mean, just
we
logistically, from a
got
common
that.
sense
Okay.
perspective, responding
unaware
from
of that.
here to Kathleen Lane is going to add, an exponential, granted, I live around the corner, but there's only so much I can do with a fire extinguisher. I'm good, but.
Yeah, I know. No, but also, I mean, there's a difference between responding at 2 in the morning on a Saturday and responding at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a school day.
Sure.
There's a difference between July and there's a practical matter. If you get stuck behind a school bus, or 5 or 6 school buses,
Good point.
you're toning out mutual aid anyway. They're coming, whether we pay them or not, they're coming.
Is that all this?
I'm just saying, we gotta talk about it, we can't just sit on it. The budget comes up, we gotta have what we're paying in the budget. We have to approach them again and ask them what they're looking to do to us this year. I mean, if you go up, look at Green Street, they did do a lot of work.
On their
I mean,
firehouse.
on the firehouse, I mean, he closed the back of it up, there's no drive-throughs, there's a new bay, it's not all fully second floor, I mean, they did do a lot of work up there, but there's 2 other firehouses that they gotta do, and, well, this is where they got the money from. They'll tell us they didn't, but you got hit with an overpriced buildings, and all of a sudden, we're getting hit.
Our taxpayers did not vote.
No, that's
Their
what
decision
we
to
pointed
go
that
out
out.
for that referendum.
We pointed that out to them.
It's close to July 4th, I think it's worth remembering.
Like I said at one point, he's maybe talked to the town and taking it and putting it in with theirs, with the Northern District part that they paid for.
All right, so we're leaving it on.
But
We're going to leave it on. I will circle back with Commissioner Weddle. He and I are the town liaisons. And in addition, I've got some questions for the treasurer on that. And if we could work on that maybe over the next week or two, then maybe Chris and I and Robin get back to the board with some thoughts on it. You good with that, Chris?
Except for I'm not here in August.
Oh, you're not? I'll call you on your cell phone. Where are you going to be?
you were gonna get it.
Thank you for the discussion on that. New vehicle update, we already talked about that. We're going to keep it on old business for now. Yeah. Ed, if you would, talk about the creation of the new network with the virtual file server, virtual email server, and virtual server for backups.
Yeah, it's essentially what I mentioned before.
Okay.
The server has been purchased. Manny expects to install it next week, and he'll, put out all the information that we need in that respect. So once he installs it and brings us up to speed on it, I think it'll go well.
Okay, great. Sorry.
I'll check with APA and see if they have an idea when the units come.
Yeah, I think he said he's coming Monday, I believe.
He was
But-
gonna do wiring though, I think, so he was okay without AC for a little bit.
Okay, yeah, but I think he's gonna start Monday, is what
Yeah.
he said, yeah.
Wiring for what?
Well,
AC wiring or something?
For the server?
Yeah, just network.
So network to where? I mean, he's gonna have a LAN connection that's gonna go out to Verizon or whoever the carrier
Yeah,
is?
you know, he's the tech guy.
Yeah.
And whatever, he knows what to do. He's done this, I think he told me, in 6 other fire stations. So let him do his thing,
Sure.
and then he'll bring us up to speed.
Do you know if he needs a UPS like the chiefs are going out to buy? I mean, is that part of the build? Part of the installation? Uninterruptible,
What's UPS?
uninterruptible power supply. It's a DC battery that powers your radio, your computer until
Yeah,
the AC comes
I'll
on.
find out from him.
I was just wondering if the chiefs are gonna buy 3, maybe they can buy 4.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
And
it is.
and that's the difference between losing a server and it powering down. It gives it enough
Sure. Until the
electricity
generator-
to power down our generator, yes.
But it has to be big enough to power the server, which
Right.
is generally bigger than a regular PC.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Manny would have to spec the size, unless he's already put that into the bid.
Yeah, I can't recall, but I'll check it out. That's a good point.
Thank you.
All right, and also Oak Lane, you updated that. So we talked about all of the old business items. Any old business for treasurer?
I just don't know if you approved the check register. We started to talk about Chris being away. Can you just see if you approved it?
Oh,
Oh.
Blames me.
No, we never approved her
we
report.
did not.
I
Thank
make-
you.
I make a motion, we approve the register and the reconciliation by the
The
treasurer.
one that you submitted for this
Yeah.
meeting? Yes,
I second it.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, approving.
You 2.5 and I 2.5 it.
I don't know why Chris didn't remember in the first place.
Chris made the motion. Who
Yeah.
seconded that?
Dwight.
We each took half.
All in favor?
Aye.
That 5-0. Thank you, Robin, for the reminder.
And the other thing we had talked about was discussing the beginnings of our budget during the August meeting, and knowing that Chris is missing, I'm not sure.
Okay.
What you're thinking.
I have,
Do we know what numbers we have to, I mean, when we're looking at the 2%, when do we get that number from the state?
Yeah, I don't think we'll have it in August.
Yeah, so there's not much point in doing it. 'cause we don't know
Well,
we
it's
have to
not,
cover it.
it's never a big number for us.
Okay, I mean, I've seen it 1.6 to 2, I mean, it's 1.98, I mean, I've seen it jump around, but I mean, I assume, I mean, unless, maybe I'm completely off base, but the budget will basically be status quo, except for the extra $20,000 we have to play with,
Something
so.
like that. But I thought that we could be a little more, like, workers' comp is coming down every year in price, so we won't budget what we budgeted for workers' comp, we'll budget less.
Is it coming down because of changing the census, or is it coming down because it's less expensive?
Census.
Okay.
I will talk about scheduling in a moment. Anything else, Robin? Excellent, thank you. And thanks for the reminder on the check register. Correspondence, we responded to a FOIL request by Barry Zezzi. The district responded to the request within 5 business days on June 23rd, 2021, providing Mr. Zezzi with the documents he requested that the district was in possession of and of responses where applicable. We received 2 emails from Mr. Carlock, and we've responded to him as well. And then several from Ms. Sigelman, who was here earlier. And we listened to her comments, and we will consider her comments. Future dates. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for August 12th at 7 p.m. at the Commissioner's office. The board needs to consider beginning budget discussions. We should begin those discussions perhaps at the August regular meeting. And if I could, Robin, I'll call you during the week. I would like to become more familiar with the entire budget process and every line item. And if anyone would like to share in that interest with me, I would urge that, because I think it's really, really important that we know where the money's coming from and where it's going to. And that means every line item. Thank you.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Line item.
Every line item. Because seemingly we missed one of those line items this year. the board needs to consider a start date for receiving requests for proposals for various contracts and services. And again, I mentioned that we need to reschedule a work session with Wise Oak Strategies. And then finally, our attorney, Mike Liguori, and also our auditors will be here next month as well. Having said that, is there any other future dates anyone would like to include so we can get it on the next agenda?
Brian, do you know, are they doing open house this year?
I don't know.
They haven't decided yet?
I do have one question. Barry Zezzi brought it up last year, and I tend to agree with him. The 20th anniversary of the attacks on our nation will be set.
Oh, he's working on that.
So
I talked to him.
I think that the district should be doing something.
No, he's already got it. They're backlogged.
Something independent, is
So.
it's still
it's-
Denny with the
No,
town?
it's to go out here.
Oh, here?
Yeah,
Well, they should,
a plat.
well, they should talk to us.
Yeah,
That's what, I didn't think you were gonna bring it up. That's what I'm telling you. He's working on it.
He's gonna bring it for a
He's,
vote?
he's got, we already voted to do it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, but they're backlogged, so that's where they're not quite got the plat.
So the reason why I bring it up, I believe that this board should be fully supporting, in whatever way we can, as appropriate, recognizing the 20th anniversary of the attacks on our nation.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So we may need to talk about that in August as well. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion.
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.